Shocked, the protagonist questions why she wants him to marry her daughter, an alien he has never met. She explains that her daughter is the last hope of her people, and that humans have a rare trait that can save their civilization. Suspense intensifies. The protagonist senses danger but also curiosity. He is caught between fear, disbelief, and a strange feeling of destiny. The alien mother hints at an imminent threat, a dark force approaching the planet that could destroy everything. Only by uniting with her daughter can he help prevent it. Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The wind howled across the barren alien plains, and the sky glowed with streaks of green and purple light. As he stepped cautiously across the cracked ground, every step echoing in the emptiness of the distant world, he had been sent on a mission to explore the uncharted sectors of the galaxy. But nothing could have prepared him for the silence that seemed to press against his chest. The abandoned city rose in the distance like a ghost from another time, its towers shimmering with a strange iridescent glow, and the air filled with a faint hum that seemed almost alive. He had heard stories from other explorers about this planet, but none of the tales spoke of what he saw now, a city that seemed to watch him back. As he moved closer, his eyes caught a movement in the shadows of a tall tower, and he froze, the hairs on the back of his neck standing straight. He felt like he was being observed, and the feeling was not comforting. He whispered to himself, "This place feels alive, and it is waiting for me." He clenched his fists and forced himself to keep walking, the ground beneath his boots vibrating slightly with each step. Suddenly, a melodic voice cut through the hum, calling his name in a way that made the hairs on his arms rise. He turned, and his eyes widened as a figure emerged from the shadows. The being was tall, with long flowing hair that shimmered with colors he had never seen before, and eyes that seemed to pierce through his very soul. She walked toward him with grace and confidence, her presence commanding and mysterious. He could not speak, he could only stare as she stopped in front of him, and without any hesitations, "Want you to marry my daughter." The words hit him like a shockwave, his mind racing as he tried to understand what had just happened. He opened his mouth to speak, but no sound came out. She continued her words, her voice calm but firm. "You may not understand now, but your presence here is not by accident. My daughter is the last hope of our people, and you carry a gift that can save us." He felt a cold chill run down his spine, and instinctively took a step back. But something in her gaze made him stop. He wanted to run, he wanted to escape, but a strange force held him rooted to the ground. The mother led him through the glowing streets of the city, and he could not help but notice the beauty and danger in every corner. Every building seemed alive with light and energy, and yet the shadows hinted at dangers he could not yet see. As they walked, she explained that her daughter was powerful, and that the two of them together could harness an energy that no one else could. He listened in disbelief, trying to grasp the reality of her words, but the urgency in her tone left no room for doubt. A sudden roar echoed through the city, and he spun around just in time to see a shadowy creature leaping from the rooftops. Its eyes glowed red, and its claws scraped the ground as it charged toward them. He felt fear grip his heart, but the mother was calm. She raised her hands, and the air around them shimmered with energy. She moved faster than his eyes could follow, striking the creature with a wave of force that sent it crashing into a tower, debris flying everywhere, and dust filling the air. He stumbled backward, barely catching his breath, his heart racing. "We must leave now," she said, urgency in her voice, and before he could ask any questions, she took his hand and pulled him toward a glowing portal that had appeared between two towers. The light was blinding, and he felt himself being lifted off the ground as they were pulled into it. He tried to look around, but everything became a swirl of colors and sounds, and then suddenly they were standing in a new place, a palace that floated in the sky, surrounded by clouds that glowed with the same strange energy as the city below. He looked around in awe as the mother released his hand and gestured for him to follow. She led him through corridors filled with alien technology and creatures that seemed part machine, part living being. He could barely comprehend the sights and sounds as everything pulsed with energy and life. The mother explained that this was her home, and that her daughter was waiting. He felt nervous excitement and fear all at once, his mind struggling to keep up with everything he was seeing. Finally, they reached a large chamber where the daughter stood. She was tall and graceful, her hair flowing like liquid silver, and her eyes a deep shade of violet. She looked at him carefully, her expression unreadable. He could feel the weight of her gaze, and for a moment felt exposed, as if she could see every thought in his mind. He swallowed hard and took a step forward, unsure of what to say or do. The mother smiled and spoke again. "Your daughter has waited for someone like you, someone who can stand by her side and help her protect our people. You are not just here by chance, your presence has been foretold. And now the time has come." He wanted to ask questions, But the words would not form. His mind was too overwhelmed. He could only nod slowly, feeling the enormity of the situation pressing down on him. A low rumble shook the palace, and the daughter's eyes narrowed. The mother turned to him and said, "You must understand the danger that approaches. It will not wait, and it will not show mercy. Only together can you stop it." He felt fear rise in his chest, but also a strange determination, as if some part of him had been waiting for this moment all his life. They moved to a balcony, overlooking the horizon, and he could see dark shapes moving across the sky, creatures that seemed to drain the light around them. The city below was at risk, and the thought of failure filled him with dread. The daughter stepped closer and spoke softly, "You do not have to understand everything now, but you must trust us and trust yourself." He felt a shiver run down his spine at her words, and the weight of responsibility settling on him. He wanted to run away and hide, but the urgency in her voice and the danger he could see left him no choice. He nodded again, feeling a strange mix of fear, excitement, and resolve. Suddenly alarms blared through the palace, and the mother turned sharply. "We have little time." They moved through the corridors with incredible speed, and he struggled to keep up as creatures attacked from the shadows. The daughter fought with elegance and power, every movement precise and deadly. He felt a rush of adrenaline as he joined the fight, using whatever instincts and training he had to survive. The sounds of battle filled his ears, and he could feel the energy of the palace and the city below merging with his own heartbeat. They reached another portal, and the mother gestured for him to enter first. He hesitated, but she gave him a look of reassurance, and he stepped through. The light swallowed him, and he felt weightless as he was pulled into another place, somewhere between the city and the skies above. He landed hard, but on his feet, and really. He was in a training chamber filled with floating platforms and glowing symbols. The daughter was already there waiting, her expression serious but inviting. "You must learn quickly," she said. "Time is not on our side." He felt a rush of nervous energy and followed her instructions, moving through the platforms and symbols, feeling the strange energy coursing through him. He stumbled and fell, but she caught him effortlessly and smiled. "Your instincts are stronger than you realize." He felt a spark of hope in her words, and for the first time felt that maybe he could rise to this challenge. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time seemed meaningless in this place. He trained and fought, and learned to harness his instincts and the energy around him. The daughter guided him with patience and strength, and slowly he began to feel a connection, not just with her, but with this world, with the people he was meant to protect. He could feel the bond growing between them, silent but undeniable, as if the universe itself had orchestrated this meeting. As the training ended, the mother appeared again, her presence calm but urgent. "You have done well, but this is only the beginning. The threat grows stronger, and soon you will face it fully." She placed her hand on his shoulder, and for a moment he felt a warmth and reassurance that he had not felt since leaving Earth. "You are ready." He said nothing, but nodded, understanding that words were not needed. The daughter stepped forward and looked at him with a mixture of challenge and promise. Together, they will face what is coming and survive, he thought, feeling a strange sense of destiny settling over him. From the balcony of the palace, they looked out at the city below, the shadows moving closer, and the glow of energy shining in defiance. He felt a surge of determination and fear, and knew that everything had led to this moment. He was no longer just a human lost on a strange planet. He was part of something larger, a force that could change the fate of worlds. He felt the mother's eyes on him and the daughter's hand brush against his, and in that instant he knew there was no turning back. The wind howled again across the plains, and the sky glowed with green and purple light. But this time he felt ready. He had a purpose, a connection, and a mission, and nothing would stop him. The shadows were coming, but he would face them. And with the alien daughter by his side, he knew they could overcome anything. The first steps had been taken, the path was set, and the adventure was only beginning. His heart raced with anticipation and fear and excitement, and he took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that his life would never be the same again, and that the universe had chosen him for a reason beyond comprehension. The palace floated silently above the glowing clouds, and he could feel the energy of the city below pulsing like a living heart. The daughter stood beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of the approaching darkness. He felt a strange mixture of fear and determination as he followed her gaze, wondering how humans could survive in such a dangerous universe. They moved through the palace halls, the walls shimmering with alien light, and the sound of distant alarms echoing in the background. The mother had told him that their enemies were relentless, and that only by mastering their powers together could they hope to protect the planet. He clenched his fists, feeling the energy within him reacting to her presence and the thought of the creatures lurking below. The daughter turned to him and spoke softly. But firmly, "You must trust yourself and trust me," he nodded, understanding that words alone could not prepare him for what lay ahead. Every step they took seemed to hum with tension, and the air vibrated with a strange resonance that made his skin tingle. He had trained for hours. But now the true test awaited him, and he could feel his heart pounding in anticipation and fear. Suddenly the palace shook violently, and the sky outside filled with dark, swirling clouds. Shapes moved across the horizon, creatures of shadow and fire descending upon the city with deadly intent. He felt a surge of adrenaline as he followed the daughter onto a balcony, the wind whipping past them and the energy of the palace responding to their presence. "You are ready," he whispered to himself, as he felt his body move with a speed and precision he had never known. The daughter raised her hands, and a shield of glowing energy formed around them, protecting them from the falling debris and the attacks that rained from the sky. The creatures roared and charged toward the palace. He leaped forward, following the daughter through corridors and chambers, each one filled with alien technology and strange symbols. The air shimmered with energy as they fought side by side. He blocked a swipe from a clawed creature and felt the force jolt through his arms. His training had prepared him, but nothing could have prepared him for the intensity of this battle. He moved instinctively, striking and dodging each attack, learning to anticipate not just the creatures' movements but the rhythm of the energy that flowed through the palace. Hours or maybe minutes passed. He could not tell time as the fight continued. He began to feel a connection with the daughter, a silent understanding that allowed them to anticipate each other's moves without a word. They were in perfect sync, their energies intertwining as they pushed back the shadows that threatened to overwhelm them. He could feel his strength growing with every passing second, the fear in his chest transforming into a burning determination to protect her and the people she loved. The mother appeared again, guiding them toward a chamber at the heart of the palace. "You must combine your powers now," she said, urgency in her voice, and without hesitation, the daughter took his hands and focused on the energy swirling around them. He could feel it coursing through his veins, a warmth and power that made him tremble at first. But soon he felt it settle and flow naturally with his own life force. The creatures outside sensed the shift and recoiled, their attacks becoming erratic and less coordinated. Together they moved toward the portal that led to the city below. The daughter whispered, "You can do this," and he nodded, feeling the certainty of her words. They stepped through the portal and landed in the streets, the city, a chaotic battlefield of fire, shadow, and light. The people ran for cover as the duo moved through them, their combined energy forming a radiant shield that pushed back the darkness. The creatures hissed and roared, each one falling to the precise strikes of their powers. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, but also a strange exhilaration. He was no longer just a human lost on a foreign planet. He was a warrior, a protector, someone whose existence had a purpose beyond imagination. The daughter looked at him with a mixture of challenge and encouragement, and he returned the gaze, knowing that together they could accomplish the impossible. As they moved through the city, he began to understand the true nature of the creatures. They were drawn to fear and despair, feeding on it to grow stronger. But with every person he protected, every life he saved, he could feel their power weakening. Each strike of energy, each movement, synchronized with the daughter, sent ripples through the shadow army, causing confusion and chaos. The people began to notice their power, and some joined in, lending courage and hope, which strengthened the shield around the city. The battle raged on the sky above, dark and stormy, but pierced with streaks of radiant energy. As their combined force pushed the creatures back, he ducked under a swinging claw and retaliated with a burst of light energy that sent several enemies flying. The daughter was at his side, moving like liquid silver, striking and blocking with incredible precision. He felt a bond with her deeper than words could convey, a connection forged in danger and trust. Eventually they reached the center of the city, the heart of the energy that had drawn him. Here he could feel it thrumming beneath his feet, the same energy his presence had been meant to unlock. The daughter looked at him with serious eyes. "Now," he whispered, "the moment has come." Together they raised their hands and focused all their energy into a single point, a blinding light that expanded outward, engulfing the city and the creatures in radiant brilliance. The shadows screamed and writhed as the force overwhelmed them, until finally the darkness shattered, leaving the city intact and glowing with renewed life. Breathing heavily, he looked around the city, the people cheering and running toward safety. The daughter stood beside him, smiling, her eyes filled with relief and pride. He felt a warmth in his chest, the knowledge that they had saved countless lives, and that his presence had made a difference. The mother appeared once more, her expression serene and proud. "You have done well," she said, and he felt a sense of accomplishment and belonging he had never known before. The sun began to rise over the alien plains, casting light over the floating palace and the restored city. He looked at the daughter, and for the first time felt not just relief, but a deep admiration, and something more he had come as a stranger. And now he was part of something greater, a force that could change the fate of worlds. They walked together toward the palace, the city alive beneath them, the energy of the people and the planet flowing around them, and he felt that nothing could ever be the same again. The mother spoke softly behind them, "You have fulfilled the prophecy, but this is only the beginning." He understood her words. The universe was vast and full of dangers. But now he was not alone. The daughter glanced at him, a small smile playing on her lips. "You are no longer just a visitor," he said, no longer needing words to express the bond that had formed. They entered the palace, and he felt a strange peace mixed with anticipation for the adventures yet to come. From the balcony of the palace, they looked out across the horizon, dark clouds dissipating, and the city shining brightly below. He felt the pulse of the planet beneath his feet, the connection to the people and the world, and the knowledge that he had been chosen for a reason. He glanced at the daughter, her hand brushing against his. And in that moment he knew that together they could face anything the universe threw at them. The wind whispered across the plains, carrying with it a promise of future challenges and victories. He was ready. The city below celebrated their saviors, the humans and aliens working together in harmony, and he felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. The daughter spoke softly, "You have proven yourself, and I am grateful." He smiled back, feeling a connection deeper than anything he had experienced on Earth or in the stars. The mother joined them, placing a hand on his shoulder. And for the first time, he felt completely accepted, part of a world far beyond his own, yet familiar in its need for courage, trust and love. As night fell, the skies filled with stars, and the palace glowed softly with energy. He stood on the balcony next to the daughter, looking out across the alien world, and felt hope, determination, and a strange exhilaration. He had faced fear, fought darkness, and discovered strength. He never knew he had. The future was uncertain, but now he knew he was ready to face it with the daughter at his side, and the support of a people who had accepted him as one of their own. The portal to the city closed behind them, the echoes of the battle fading into memory, but the lessons and the bond remained. He knew this was only the beginning, the universe vast and full of mysteries and threats. But he also knew he had a purpose and a partner to face it with. The mother's words lingered in his mind, "You are part of something greater," and he understood that in every fibre of his being. He looked at the daughter and nodded silently, a promise of courage, loyalty and partnership. The city below sparkled with life, the people rebuilding and celebrating their victory, and he felt a deep sense of satisfaction and peace. The daughter smiled at him, and for the first time he felt a connection that transcended words or species. He was no longer a stranger, he was a protector, a warrior, a companion, and he embraced that destiny with every beat of his heart. The stars above twinkled with possibilities, and the future stretched before them, vast and unknown, but he felt ready to face it. As dawn broke across the alien plains, he took a deep breath and felt the wind carrying the promise of adventure and hope. He was no longer alone, the daughter beside him, the mother guiding them, and the people of a world counting on them. He had discovered courage, love and purpose, and he knew that together they could face any darkness that threatened the galaxy. His heart swelled with determination, and he whispered to himself, silently ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that his life and theirs had been forever changed by this meeting, by this mission, and by the bond that had formed across worlds and species.